political analyst. Prof, thank you for staying with us. You've been following what has been happening with your friend, the Deputy President.
Yes.
You said it was a good move. On the socials, I mean, opinion, of course, is variant. Some saying he shouldn't have disclosed, his cards before he went and faced off his opponents. Perhaps he should have gambled differently. Do you think that perhaps he danced too soon to the tunes?
First of all, thank you for inviting me in this studio. I was with the same regarding Gachagua in this studio. Just a few weeks before the election of 2022. So this reminds me of those days, that time. I think, yes, you could argue that, well, why didn't he wait until tomorrow? Because then he has exposed his cards. But you see, there is a rebuttal that will come by way of, from the side of the MPs, especially the move of the motion. But he could also anticipate that. Maybe this is a bait. So because he will have the last word. Because the mover will perhaps respond at some point. And then he will add, whatever he will add tomorrow, will seal the fate of the impeachment in terms of, well, they could still impeach him, but not because he has not explained himself. I think he has done a good job. He has factually exposed the cheapness, the lies about the impeachment. All the grounds he's been able to explain clearly. And I think the people of Kenya are more or less satisfied that Brigadier Gachagua has done a good job in explaining. So what Kenyans are now waiting for is for Parliament to pick out anything from what he said today. Using facts, because he's challenging them on facts. If you say he owns this parcel of land in this particular place, and he says, no, it's not 80 acres, it is actually 30 or 29, and he has produced a title deed, you produce yours. He's shifted the game from cheap peddled stuff to the arena of facts. And it becomes very difficult if somebody shifts you to that arena, where now let's not engage on cheap talk. Let's do it factually. Yes. You say I'm a short man, I'm 4 feet. And let's do it. I'm 5. Prove I'm 4.
Each comes to their measurements.
It's very difficult, Yeah. So Parliament, I hope they will not just shout. They should be able to respond to each of those explanations given by Gachagua. And if what Gachagua is saying is true, and I'm using the word if, which he also used, if what he has said is true, then they have a tall order. It will be a tall order for them to be able to refute what he has said.
When you look at the exercise of the articles of the Constitution that provide for impeachment, removal from office of several people, we've seen how impeachments have been handled in this country. Do you think they follow the spirit and the letter of the Constitution?
I do not think the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya could envisage a situation where people could impeach a president or a deputy president on such a flimsy grounds. Because impeachment of a deputy president is not a small matter. And therefore, when they say gross violation of the Constitution, they mean exactly that. When they talk of gross misconduct, they mean exactly that. When they talk about crimes against humanity, or local or international, or for local international nature, they mean exactly that. It can't be about things that even children can laugh about. It can't be about having property worth 5 billion. Because since when did it become an offense in this country to own property? Since when? Since when did it become an offense for you to talk about your people? I mean, so if you look at the whole array of accusations against DP Gachagua, I don't think the Constitution would actually condone that kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you think then that this spells or puts him in crosshairs? Of course, there has been that, breaking of the balance between the bromance between him and the president. Do you think that exposing and talking about, say, the deal that he has exposed about the share, when he was justifying his shareholding,
yes,
such issues, do you then think that they put him in a questionable position where one would say, okay, we will not involve him, let's assume he's not impeached.
Yes.
I will not involve him in X matters because then if something comes, he will then expose what we agreed upon.
I don't think there was any secret. He's alluded to the MOU of 2002, where Kibaki and Raila and the rest of the team had an MOU, but they feared if it was exposed, Moi will say these people are all about power. But this one was clear. We knew about 30% about my people of Western. I'm only wondering why I'm not a cabinet secretary. If we are getting 30%, I should be a cabinet secretary. But on a serious note, I do not think there's any secret about that MOU.
Okay.
We knew Mutua had an MOU. We knew King had an MOU with Ruto, and I don't think there's any secret. In fact, what people feared, the country was waiting for two things. Either he was going to be ballistic and then resign, or almost say nothing, to threaten, so that in case there is tomorrow, he can still operate with the people. Especially being ballistic and resigning is what many people were expecting. But it didn't happen. There's nothing he exposed. He didn't say anything. There's so much I don't know the leaders in this country as much as Gachagua knows them. Yet I know so much. Then you can imagine just how much more he knows about, say, Ruto, for example. So he didn't say anything.
How much more of a political risk could he be staying inside government? You can look at it both ways. If he's not impeached or if he's impeached.
If he's not impeached, which you can see these guys have the numbers, they could easily impeach him. If he's not impeached and he goes back to his office, it will be more or less like Ruto and Uhuru. I mean, it'll be very difficult for Ruto, and Ruto is a human being. I can't blame him. It'll be very difficult for him to trust Gachagua. There are many things that will be kept away from him. Ruto will look for another Matiang'i now to do the job Rigji is supposed to do. In the event he's impeached, I was saying if he was not impeached,
yes,
in the event he's impeached, he will have to re-engineer his game. What I don't believe is what people are saying, he should have resigned merely because if he doesn't resign, he has no political future. I don't think that is true. Yeah.
What Matiang'i said in 2022 about Ruto seems to have been the case that, or the script that the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has followed. Is it, different cast this time? But
these are same monkeys. Sometimes they go into a different forest or a different forest receiving different monkeys.
Yeah.
They're the same people, really. But now this must confirm to Kenyans the need for us to have a relook at the whole engagement of joint tickets, governor and running mate, president and running mate. I think these two examples are enough. We should not wait for anything bigger than this. We must look at that provision in our constitution critically and ask one question: is it working for us? The answer is certainly no. And the reason is very simple. Because instead of somebody looking for a running mate capable of being a deputy, they look for somebody who can bring votes by looking at the geographical, the geography of the county, the geography of the country. So if I pick a guy from that area, he'll bring those votes. So now when that guy comes with those votes, he comes with expectations. So you are creating a sort of co-presidency, co-governorship, which is not the intention of the Constitution. Deputies are not supposed to have a voice. That's where we have a problem. But in terms of what's going on, it is really sad for me. For me, it's very sad that the country can come this far and there's a danger of destruction. We can come this far on such a flimsy grounds. I would have expected Parliament to find really convincing, serious grounds for impeaching the president or the deputy president.
Because he has followed the narrative of dead men tell no tales.
Yes,
He has literally assigned, responsibility and credit to his late family members, saying they're the ones who, he inherited these, and he's even quoted the figures.
Yes.
I mean, how safe is this? I mean, even as a parliamentarian, it would be difficult to argue with such a situation, do you think?
It's difficult, and it's Parliament that has invited that upon themselves.
Okay.
Why do you bring issues you know can be difficult to prove? Why? In any case, what will be wrong with anybody owning property? Because if they have stolen, the focus should not be on what they have. The focus should be on the corruption or the thefts, which I doubt is what was the focus in this impeachment. The impeachment seems to focus on the fact that within only 2 years, Gachagua has amassed so much wealth. To them, 5.7 billion is so much. But they forget there are people in this country who are dollar billionaires. The same parliament that is going to impeach Gachagua if they have their way, only a short while ago, listen to cabinet secretaries who had been reappointed, coming back after 1.5 years to say, okay, gentlemen, now I am worth 400 million. 1.5 years ago, you vetted me here in this National Assembly, I was worth 100 million. So I've made 300 million in 2 years. I've made 100 million in 1.5 years. Excuse me, how did you get that kind of money? So how will the same parliament now, having given these people who couldn't explain how they had made sometimes hundreds of millions in a spectacular 2-year or 1.5 year period, including people who have no other claim to business other than I had a law firm. And I asked them, for example, how much have you paid in taxes in the corresponding period? To convince Kenyans that you actually made this extra 200 million in 1.5 years or in 2 years, genuinely. So how is the same parliament going to preside over this impeachment when they are accusing Gachagua of making a certain amount of money in 2 years? And remember, the Constitution really is hard on inequality, on unfairness, on an unnatural justice. So that will not be, Parliament will have a problem explaining to the country the principle of fairness, of equality and equity before the law, of natural justice. How did you allow the nominees to get a clean bill of health to be appointed cabinet secretaries if in only 2 years they had made money they couldn't explain? And now you're asking Gachagua to explain. So they have put themselves in a very awkward position. Now, what will happen, if you ask me?
Yes.
If Parliament proceeds, and I think they will, to impeach Gachagua, then the country will believe they have not impeached him because of anything serious or because of any grounds of impeachment. So they will be accused of lynching him, which is not good precedent. Kenyans want to know that when our state officers are wayward, and indeed they are wayward, when they steal our money, because they steal our money, you get it? When they loot public coffers, because they do loot our public coffers, when they do that, Kenyans want to know, we will impeach them. We will impeach them for doing those bad things. But when you bring flimsy grounds to impeach a deputy president, then you make Kenyans lose faith in a process that can save the country. We want to know, when the people are wayward, when we entrust you with the resources of this country and you steal, we should impeach you.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we end up, Prof, before we, as we enter the home stretch, the DP says he made his money when this country was working.
Yes.
Is it an indictment on the government serving?
Certainly. So when things were working. So instead of saying things are not working. But now, again, you cannot accuse him of being part of government and he's saying government is not working. Because our president has already been sacked. Because Ruto himself said he was not the president. There are many things that could have worked better during Uhuru's time. But he was not the president. So Gachagua is saying, okay, you see, you know me, I'm just deputy president, but true, really, things are not working in this country. That's what he said. I'm happy you picked it.
Yes.
That is what I call political bad manners. That's what I say. You see, a man and wife in their house who have children, there are certain things they don't do in front of children. So what our leaders are doing is bad manners. Because I want to tell you, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Whichever way this thing goes, it's going to get dirty and ugly. And like Wetangula said, Papa Aroma, it could get messy, noisy, and there would be casualties. And that's where we are headed, which is not good for the country. I would have loved a situation where our leaders sit down and resolve whatever differences there are, knowing that we are like the children. So certain things they don't do as we see. Like people had feared today, Gachagua was going to be what? Kulipua kila kitu. I'm happy he didn't, because that would be bad manners.
So where does this leave Kenyans, focusing on other issues of national interest, the Adani conversation, the conversation on the cost of living?
Yeah, Kenyans are saying this could be a game.
Okay.
A game to keep our eyes off Adani as they go with our airport, as they go with the Ketraco, as they invade the health sector, the energy sector, and a host of all these things the government can deal with, like university funding, like the shift from NHIF to this animal called this SHA or SHIP, whatever it's called. There are so many bad things going on, and therefore this is to distract our attention so that we focus on the impeachment when really there's no impeachment. In fact, some people are saying, should Gachagua get off the hook, whichever way, they will know it was a game. You've heard that kind of narrative.
Yes.
That conversation makes sense because, one, this is certainly not something important for this country. And that's why many of the people you witnessed during public participation, or the so-called public, many of the people who didn't want the impeachment, they didn't do so because they loved Gachagua. No, because they are saying we have serious challenges in this country we should be dealing with. Then you are distracting our attention, like we think we are children, and bringing this impeachment. And it gets even worse because the impeachment is baseless. There isn't a single charge that can stand anywhere. Granted, an impeachment is not a legal process. It's a political process. For that reason, even if you are ugly, they could say they are impeaching you because your face doesn't look presidential if you are the president. So, well, but Kenyans are wondering, surely, are there no better things? Are there no more pressing issues to deal with than bring us an impeachment that for all intents and purposes should collapse on the basis of there not being grounds enough to impeach somebody? Yeah.
And we, just briefly, we are seeing the government machinery is really commenting on this. Cabinet secretaries, members of parliament, people who you would ordinarily expect to be silent. And it's not just cabinet secretaries, it's cabinet secretaries who have, served as governors, members of parliament, legislators. What does this?
What are they doing?
They're commenting and throwing their weight on this impeachment motion, on this whole conversation on the impeachment. What does that mean, especially regarding the executive, where the deputy president today ideally is a member of?
First of all, they know it can't stand. It has no feet.
Okay. So
you are supporting it, beefing it, because you know it can't stand. It's wobbling. This impeachment has no feet. So you need to support it. But mainly because this is Kenya. That gives you an idea of where the impeachment is coming from. You see, if the president is supporting something or is behind something, you can't be left behind. You lose your job tomorrow if you are a minister. You must be seen to be supporting it. Or if you are eyeing a government job, you must speak loudly that this Gachagua man must go, hoping the president will get to pick what you are saying, and in the next appointment you could become something. I think I should take a cue from there and begin supporting the impeachment. I think I should.
We look forward to seeing
Thank you very much.
and hearing what you have to say. Professor Herman Manyora, a political analyst, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having another conversation in the near future.
Thank you too.
Thank you for joining us. I'm George Maringa with